Okay, so this only just happened, so let's get my raw thoughts on it. Will Smith punched Chris Rock at the Oscars, and now the Oscars is planning a bit of retribution. They're going to punish the guy. I don't know if they can punish him, considering they just gave him the highest honor that you can possibly earn at the Oscars. What are they going to do now? Like, all right, here's the best prize that you could possibly win in your career, but we wanted to let you know that you've been a very naughty boy. Go sit in timeout with your $10 million and your massive prize, okay? Actually, come to think of it, the real punishment is being married to Jada Smith. I don't really have a problem with Jada. I'm just thinking that Will Smith slapping you in the face has got to be good for ticket sales. Loosebeers.com. See you at the show. So obviously by now, we've all seen the slap. No, I'm not talking about the TV series. I'm talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. But before we get into the Oscars response, I want to point out a few things that I noticed on re-watching it. So firstly, the joke that Chris Rock told, it's not that bad of a joke. It's not that good of a joke either, to be honest. It wasn't that hilarious. But he is hosting the Oscars, and every joke he writes has to be approved by a team of people with no senses of humor. That's why the Oscars is so boring. So I'm not sure if it's even possible to be funny at the Oscars. But the reason why Will Smith may have been so upset about the joke is because Jada Smith has alopecia, and Chris Rock said this.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Really, Chris? A G.I. Jane joke? A joke about the movie from the 90s? I mean, fuck, Mad Max was more recent than that. You know, that had a bald chick in it. I mean, just off the top of my head, you could have gone something like, oh, Will and Jada Smith, you both have the same haircut. Too bad you don't share the same bed. Actually, that probably would have got you punched by both of them. But immediately after this joke, the camera actually cuts to the Smith family, and the most interesting thing is you can see Will Smith laughing quite a lot and seemingly in a genuine way, but then Jada is the one that's annoyed. Then the camera cuts back to Chris, and something happened between Will Smith laughing to Will Smith slapping Chris in the face, and we may never know what happened. It was only about 10 seconds between him laughing to him storming the stage, and it must have been the look of death from Jada. You know, she just looked at him laughing at her having alopecia and was like, really, dude, this is why I fuck other men. Either you go and slap him right now, or you'll see me in August. That's right, I'm into pegging. That is such a good joke, and it's going to go over so many heads so fast like the wind over Jada's aerodynamic skull. Then, of course, Will storms the stage, and Chris Rock makes this fatal error where he puts both of his hands behind his back, leans forward, and smiles. That is like, please slap me posture. And immediately after the slap, Chris Rock is so shocked he doesn't know what to say. I think that's because he's just thinking in his head about how he has an upcoming tour with Kevin Hart, and he's immediately thinking, dude, we need to get Kevin off this tour. I do not need him to sell tickets anymore. I need to get him off my deal. I need to do my own arena tour. I need to do back-to-back nights at Madison Square Garden. Will Smith slapped me. Hear my story about it. And then, of course, Will Smith does the tough guy thing of keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. And at this point, everybody thinks that it's staged. Like, I'm watching this and I'm thinking that it's definitely staged, but then Will Smith does this.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
And that's what made me think, nah, this isn't staged. Unless it was planned prior by the Smith family, which is like a pretty big conspiracy. I don't believe that one. It definitely wasn't planned by the Oscars. The Oscars cannot have swearing on their broadcast. If they planned it, it would have turned into a song and dance, and Chris Rock would have hugged and done a cool handshake at the end, and then someone would have come out and done a backflip, and then Epstein would have come out from beneath the stage and gone, I'm still alive, let's jump on a plane, and then everyone would jump on and go and fuck kids. That's how the Oscars would do it if it was staged. But the biggest point of evidence against it being a planned thing by the Oscars is that it was good and exciting to watch. The Oscars doesn't do entertaining award show shenanigans. It's boring. That's what it is. They don't know how to create an exciting award show. They don't know how to do that. I don't think they just figured it out. I really think this is Will Smith losing control over what was like a really harmless joke. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, good on Will for standing up and defending his wife. That's not, I don't see it like that. I might be biased because I'm a comedian, but storming the stage to assault a guy for telling like a really harmless rib joke about your wife, it's not tough. It's fucking lame. In fact, to me, it looks like Will just lost control, assaulted a guy who he's probably worked with on occasion and must know on some level, and then sits down and starts to cry. Like, that's not an alpha move. That's an emotional, unhinged outburst of rage, remorse, guilt, and then fear. That's some beta shit. I don't think this was Will taking the opportunity to defend his wife. I think that when Chris Rock told that joke and he looked over at his wife, who loves other men, just absolutely unimpressed, I think Chris Rock turned into Twitter, and every single person who's been clowning on him for the August situation, for the entanglements, for the open marriage, for him looking like a simp all of the time for his wife. And I feel like Chris Rock just morphed into every single person who has ever trashed him and his wife, and it was the last straw. I think he just snapped, he saw red, he went up and did it, and then he realized what he had done, and that's when the tears started flowing. This isn't an alpha moment. This is like a crazy moment of Will just completely losing control of himself, losing his frame, and reacting emotionally in the worst way. And if your goal was to make people stop talking about you and your wife, this is the worst way to do it. As I said yesterday on the Luke and Lewis show, today we were not going to talk about Jada Smith sitting on someone else's cock. But now we are, because you slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. And now we're talking about her getting into entanglements. And I think that's what all of this comes down to. I think that with the rise of social media, all of this stuff that's been happening privately between Will and Jada has gotten out of control. Will's been clowned on it. And then when they tried to fix it by doing the red table talk thing where Jada basically just talked about fucking other dudes in front of Will for 40 minutes while he tried not to cry. And then for some reason, people just didn't think that was very cool. I think that it's just snapped something in Will, and he's just reacted in such an emotional, out of control way that I think it just screams pathetic and sad. Whereas on the other side of things, Chris Rock now comes out with an amazing story, a giant amount of publicity, and the best comedy special on earth in 6 months' time. As soon as Will slapped him, Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, all of them got out a knife and started stabbing each other, trying to fight for Chris Rock's next special. Now, obviously, as I said before, I'm a little bit bias in this situation, so as a comedian I can definitely see myself more in Chris Rock's shoes than I can in Will Smith's shoes, mainly because I don't let my girl fuck other dudes, but still, it's a lot easier for me to sympathize with Chris Rock here. I just hope this doesn't become a cultural thing to do at comedy shows, for my own sake. I hope people don't see this and go, oh, I didn't realize that if a comedian told a joke you don't like, you can just go up there and slap them and then they'll stop and then nothing happens. In fact, only good things can come from it. You'll win an award for being the best in your industry, and then your peers will give you a standing ovation because that's all they've ever wanted to do to comedians who make fun of them. Because if there's one thing that actors are really good at, it's pretending that they're the victim. Honestly, I just hope Queen Elizabeth wasn't watching the broadcast, because after all the shit I've talked about her husband, the last thing I would want is a slap from the Queen. I think that if Will wanted to come across as a baller, what he should have done is, after the joke, stand up, leave the room, then 18 minutes later, come back in by himself, accept the award for Best Actor, and say, I'm not going to come back to this award show until I get an apology from the Oscars and Chris Rock. That would have been baller. Actually, if we're talking baller, check out Jada Smith's new haircut. That is quite ball-like. But instead of doing that and being in a position to demand an apology, Will Smith was instead crying and begging for forgiveness for what he did because he knew it was wrong and a fucked thing to do. Or an even better thing to do would just be to laugh like a normal human being. You're one of the most famous couples on planet Earth. People are going to joke about you. Alopecia isn't going to kill her. Sure, she might be a little bit self-conscious about it, but it's a little tiny joke about G.I. Jane, a film from the fucking 90s. Why didn't he say Mad Max? I'm still upset about it. Then, of course, Will wins Best Actor, and he goes up and he has his whole sob story of him crying and making up some bullshit about how, the guy that I was playing was a fierce protector of his family. Yeah, cool, bro. You were method acting. It wasn't you. The character you played took over. Dude, you assaulted someone over a light joke. It's some pussy shit, and now you're crying about it, at least either do it and stand by it, or don't do it at all. Don't work in half measures and then start crying about it because you're terrified of what people will think or the repercussions. Do it and stand by it, or don't do it at all. This is the most one toe in reaction to a joke that I've ever seen. That's why I think it's such an emotional, impulsive, out of control reaction, because even he's like shocked and terrified at what he's done, and then he goes on to talk about how the devil tested him. The devil didn't test you, dude. Your wife who fucks other dudes gave you a look, and then you freaked out about maybe being perceived as a bitch by your wife and went and slapped a guy and then ended up looking like even more of a bitch because you cried afterwards. That's not the devil, that's your wife. But I can see how you would get those two confused. After all, they've got the same haircut. Yeah, I might get a closed fist punch after this video. But look, to me, this moment is like the ultimate expose of the nice guy act that a lot of these Hollywood people put on. Will Smith is like, oh, he comes up, oh, I'm a rapper, but I don't swear, and I'm this nice family guy, and I do all these uplifting films and all these kids movies, and I'm such a nice, cool guy, and I get on social media, and I'm just like you, and I'm a real genuine person. But if you even make a passing comment about me and my family, I'm going to lose control, assault someone, and then start hysterically crying about it. You're not who you portray yourself to be, bro. And I think you've made it obvious. But after the acceptance speech / YouTuber apology video, the entire audience stands up and gives this man a standing ovation, which is just so Hollywood. Will Smith does something, the whole audience is incredibly horrified, but then 18 minutes later, he starts crying and makes an impassioned speech, so they all give him a standing ovation. It's the most fake shit ever, because every person in the audience is like, oh no, what do we do? What are people going to think? What's going to make us look the best? Am I going to work with this guy in the future? What power does he have? It's all like pathetic, non-genuine reaction from people who are just robots, just using each other to climb the ladder. That's really what it screamed to me, is just fake. Like, you can't be shocked and then give the guy a standing ovation because for some reason he cried and said it was the devil's fault. That's not a genuine reaction. I really think that a lot of these Hollywood actors see themselves as above the average person, so that when a comedian does tell a joke about them, that is how they want to react, because they think that they're above it, or they think that anyone making fun of them is unfair, or they shouldn't have to tolerate a little joke about a haircut, so the comedian getting slapped deserves it. This is why the Oscars is so fucking boring, because you have to try and entertain these people who think they're better than you on stage. I don't think any comedian should host these fucking shows anymore. Not only are you not allowed to be funny, but also you're now running the risk of getting assaulted with no security and no repercussions at all on the night for the guy who assaulted you. Like, Chris Rock is asked to perform, like that's a favor to the Oscars, and he gets punched and then nothing happens to the guy who slaps him. I don't think that that's fair as a comedian to have to endure. And again, I'm biased, but to me, it looks like the Oscars need comics more than comics need the Oscars. There's not even a best comedy category for comedians. Why the fuck are we showing up to these events if you just get in trouble for it? You get canceled before you even get to the fucking award show, and you get punched if you do the award show, and you're not even allowed to be funny because they review and shoot down all your good jokes. So that brings us to the latest, which is the Oscars have now announced they're going to come up with some kind of repercussion for Will Smith. Like what? They're gonna say, oh, very naughty, we don't approve. What are they going to do? Chris Rock isn't pressing charges because he knows that any money that he could take from Will Smith is dwarfed in comparison to the amount of money that he's going to make on his next tour and comedy special now. So thank you very much, Will. That's the money I've taken from you. What are the Oscars going to do to Will Smith? Oh, please don't do that again, man. Nothing's going to happen. I think it's just all a show. Will Smith gets to assault a comedian. The comedian just has to take it. And, sure, he'll sell tickets, but I think it's still fucking bullshit that Will gets to get away with that and stay there on the night. And the world spins. And everyone's going to forget about this in 2 days. And, yeah, I don't know. I just think, why are comedians hosting these shows anymore? Okay, I just finished filming and I did an outro, but breaking news, Will Smith just apologized to the Oscars, everyone watching, and Chris Rock himself, who, during his acceptance speech, I think he intentionally left out when he was apologizing to people. So Will Smith has now rethought it. He's come out and he's released this statement. Violence in all its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are part of the job. Thank you. But a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers, the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize for the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will. And there you have it. If you disagree with my take, guess who disagrees with you? Will Smith, the man himself. So, yeah, it's basically what I said, which is just, yeah, I think it was kind of pathetic, emotional, out of control behavior. Dude lost it, reacted emotionally, slapped the guy, and now severely regrets it because it was a lame thing to do. Being a celebrity means people will make jokes about you. And that's the job, all right? If you don't like the job, go home, open up your bank account, and look at what you get for doing it, all right? That's the end of the video. Learn how to take a joke, or don't show up to an award show. And you know what? Don't host award shows, comedians, okay? But if the Oscars hit me up, I'll probably say yes, to be honest, you know? I'll say yes. Because I'm just as bad as everyone I talked about in this video. Like, subscribe, grab tickets to my show. I'll see you there.